while stand. It's great, fantastic. Just the beginning of the campaign trail. So I want to introduce you all. Most of you know Joe Rooney, but thank you to Joe as the chairman of ATRO, who really put all of this together and paid for all of the food and got the bartender and everything else. Joe, fantastic.
First, I want to say welcome to Abington. We're proud to have you here. Abington wants to be one of the center spots in Montgomery County as far as events and bringing our candidates. For these gentlemen up here, thanks to every one of you for coming. We're really proud to have you here. We're going to do everything we can to support you and make this a great campaign. For Dom G, thank you very much for taking time out of your unbelievably busy day to come. Liz, I have to tell you, from my personal opinion, I'll give you, my background is I was in the Marine Corps, I'm a pilot with Delta Airlines. I'm going to tell you, she's awesome. Everybody who doesn't support everything that she does is you're making a mistake. Okay? Nobody does everything perfect, but I'll tell you what, it's phenomenal the effort that we're getting from MCRC right now. Julia is sitting right there. I'm going to thank her at the back. Steve Kalinowski set this whole thing up. He's with the VFW. I'll stop right now. Jeff Bartos has been here several times already. He ran a great campaign, and he's a great guy, and we always enjoy seeing him, and he's always welcome here. Thank you all.
So before Jeff comes up, I asked Jeff to introduce our radio superstar here, Dom. But before Jeff does that, I just want to tell everyone that we have a number of candidates here with us. We have Matt Hovey, who's running for Court of Common Pleas. Tracy Moss Carfagno, who's running for Clerk of Courts. We've got Stan Casaccio, who's running for Controller. Coroner Anna Marie Scanapico. Prothonotary Nancy Quinn Marsden. There you are, there, stand up. Recorder of Deeds, Vicki Lightcap. There are all the ladies, see them? Ron Holt and John Schrader for Register. Melissa Bowers Palmer for Sheriff. And we have Terrence Martin and Donna Sharon from running for Treasurer. Everybody's got petitions all around. I hope nobody leaves without signing petitions. They're available in the back if you want to take one too. We've got 2 statewide Superior Court candidates. So if anybody's going to be circulating for their local township supervisor, please take some of those and any of our county candidates. And I think that's all we have to say here. I'd love to bring up my friend Jeff Bartos, ran for Lieutenant Governor, did a fantastic job, to introduce Dom Giordano.
Evening. I think the last time I was in this room, we had a town hall that went viral around the world. So we're going to try not to have any viral moments that go negatively around the world. But it's great to be back here. Joe, briefly, we had an amazing July 4th parade. I think it was 111 degrees that day. But it is great to be back in Abington, and that Glenside parade was terrific. I saw my friend Dan David, who ran for Congress. Dan turned 50 last week, and I called him to wish him happy birthday, and he said, look, I'm really 30 with 20 years of additional experience. But then he went on and he said, look, I wish, and he got serious actually for a second. He got serious and he said, when I was 30, I thought I knew everything. I've learned over the last 20 years how little I know and how much more I need to learn. But that's why it's so much, getting older and getting experience, that 20 years meant so much. And he was being very serious, and I paused and I took it in. And I said, Dan, could you please call Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and give her that same sagacious advice, because she really needs that. She thinks she knows everything at what is she, 20-something? Yeah, almost 30. And of course, Liz jumped right in June, right? It was June? And has hit the ground running and done a great job in trying to bring our party back together. And the turnout tonight for this forum is yet another example of her leadership and bringing people together from all across the county to hear our candidates. And I want to thank all the candidates. Putting your name on the ballot for whatever position is not easy. I went around the state for 21 months, getting sometimes hugged, a lot of times yelled at, people really hate the Eagles when you get west of Reading. Don't wear your Jason Kelsey jersey in Pittsburgh. But putting your name on the ballot is very hard, so I applaud all the candidates here tonight for putting yourselves out there. And then finally, you didn't come to hear me speak. Dom, this is a man who, when I jumped in, I think within weeks of jumping into the race in April of 2017, I was on the radio. And from that time right through the end of the election, Dom was always available, whether it was an email, whether it was a phone call, whether it was getting on the radio, to talk through the most important conservative issues, not only facing our Commonwealth, but facing our nation. And look, it took some convincing when I traveled around the state that a guy from the Southeast, when you're in Butler County or Beaver County or Bedford County, there's a lot of B's out there, they don't really believe you're going to be a conservative, and then they meet you and they're like, yeah, you know what you're talking about. I said, well, you should listen to Dom Giordano. That's how I know what I'm talking about. But I really appreciate the graciousness, the wisdom, the patience, and frankly the hospitality that you showed to me and to Scott and to Lou Barletta on the campaign trail. We really, really appreciated it. It really helped us get our message out there. And so a warm Montgomery County welcome to our host this evening, Dom Giordano.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Remain standing if you want. Thank you. Thanks very much, everybody. Jeff is too kind. We had Jeff at Andy's Diner. Andy may be back with us, just a shameless plug. Jeff was quite a hit. Maybe not with his wife and some of the stuff that he said. But Stan mentioned the pressure from the Democratic Party of people coming from the socialist, progressive countries and what they bring with them. Heck, I'm from Philadelphia. We do that every day. So I'm out here tonight, and one of the reasons I came to Montgomery County is I'm fascinated by what's happening in the Philadelphia suburbs. And the answer to it, or a partial answer to it, I think people like Liz Havey, Stan, and some of the candidates up here tonight. Because who knew, this morning I talked about Springfield Township, where I go quite often. I know Springfield Township suddenly is Mississippi in the 50s. That Donald Trump turned it that way by these racist flyers that were put out, citing Deuteronomy. You think Donald Trump is looking up Deuteronomy at night and sending dog whistles out to Springfield Township, Montgomery County? I don't think so. So I came tonight because I'm fascinated by what's happening in the suburbs, the pushback that's needed, and I meet a wonderful guy who reminded me, he got me in the parade, the Glenside parade, which is a prime thing. That was a heck of a parade. And all people said to him is, why the hell is Dom Giordano in your parade? Democrats. Of course, in another great show of bipartisanship, I might add. So I'm supposed to be in the parade this year. I welcome protesters. We'll see what happens. But I'm here because Montgomery County and what's going on here over the last 10 or 15 years is a very, very serious thing. I, on a regular basis, am in contact with what's going on in Delaware County, Chester County, Bucks County, which did well the last time around. And I remember when Pat Pobrock, who's kind of the Liz Havey, by extension, of Bucks County, came on the show and wrote this open letter that said essentially, in Bucks County, aside from the Scott Wallace gazillionaire living on a luxury golf course in South Africa and maybe jetting in to be the next congressman, do you want sanctuary cities? Do you want safe injection sites? Do you want more of this type of erosion? Today, Fox News had a piece. They talked about Andrew Cuomo, booing aloud, talking about how the rich have fled New York and have gone to Florida. And the commentator said what I say all the time about the suburbs here. Let's hope those people fleeing New York remember why they fled. Don't go to Florida and mess it up and start with a state income tax now and everything else. In my mind, that's exactly what's happening in the suburbs. The smarter, more mobile, more affluent people flee Philadelphia, but they bring so-called Philadelphia values with them. And as you know, if you listen to the show 9 until noon, my hobby is Jim Kenny. I've never seen a guy like this. It's a strange hobby. I am amazed by this guy. The bike lanes, the potty czar, the soda tax czar, and the type of stuff that goes on. And I am a personal friend of sorts, it varies, with Johnny Doc. So it's a small town. Well, it varies in that we have the same ear, nose, and throat guy. And one night it got late, 6:30, we're the last two there, and he said, "Doc, do you have a scalpel so I can cut Dom's throat?" So that's what I mean by friendship. That was a direct quote. All said in good humor, we believe. So tonight, we have, to get started, we have various rules that we're going to follow in introducing the candidates. We have a timekeeper, and I will try to stay very much on point, kind of like radio here. Thank you. There's the timekeeper. Julie's right here, holding up her 30. Okay. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes for an opening statement. There'll be 2 pre-selected questions that I have directed at all the candidates. And then we're going to take questions from the audience. And this is rare. Usually, I shuffle through the index cards. I'm going to pull out of the thing like a fishbowl or something. The questions, Julie has told me that's the procedure. Audience questions will be written on those index cards. We'll choose questions to be asked, and each candidate will have a chance to answer each question that we choose, given up to 2 minutes to answer each question. Candidates will not be allowed to interrupt each other. If the candidate, though, feels a need for a rebuttal, then just signal me. You don't have to raise your hands. We're not in a romper room. Just nod at me, and I'll know that you want a rebuttal, and I'll go to you. And you'll be asked to stay and mingle with attendees to answer any additional questions one-on-one. MCRC did not provide the questions to the candidates in advance. All right, so let's start on my left. I usually like to say that because usually it's hard to get to my right here. Dean Eisenberger. Dean, you get the opening 3 minutes to tell us about you and why you're running. Come up to the mic, please. Come up to the mic, okay? If you want to come up here, Dean, sure. You know, it's a thing, you never give up the microphone, Liz, so that's why it's a radio.
Thank you, Don. Personally, I'd like to thank Liz Havey and the Montgomery County Republican Committee for setting this up tonight, along with our gracious host here in Abington. Dom Giordano for hosting tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, talking to the mic.
Yeah, I'm better with that. My name is Dean Eisenberger. I want to be the next commissioner here in Montgomery County. Whenever I say that to someone, the first question I always get is why. The answer is simple. I believe that Montgomery County is heading in the wrong direction when it comes to how it treats taxpayers, and we need a change in leadership to fix that. Our next board of county commissioners must be willing to make tough decisions, rein in spending, and stop playing politics to ensure a better future for our residents. I believe I'm the best prepared to make those decisions. And think once you know more about me and my record, you'll also agree. First, I've made tough decisions governing. As Plymouth Township Council Chairman, I answered the call for residents to provide stable funding for emergency services while holding the line on other taxes. We eliminated debt and built an $8 million rainy day fund. And we stood up to the special interest to ensure cost-effective contracts for our taxpayers. Second, I will bring to county government a real-world perspective of a successful businessman who has founded and grown businesses, managed budgets, and created jobs, most of them here in Montgomery County. I'm a husband and father concerned about the future we're leaving for our kids, a former law enforcement officer committed to keeping our community safe, and the perspective of taxpayer tired of government treating all of us as a bottomless pocket to pick. Finally, and this may be the most important point of all, I am not a politician. I assume my life in politics ended when I left township government. I promise you today that I have no ambition and I will never run for a higher office. My life has been spent in service helping others. As I mentioned, I spent a career in law enforcement. I'm proud to have earned numerous decorations throughout my career, including the FOP David Hancock Medal of Honor for Valor, all providing me with the call to fulfill my commitment to serve my community. I only ran for township council after being approached by my neighbors. I brought to that office the same commitment to service I had as a police officer. Today, with the challenges Montgomery County faces, I see running for county commissioner as a continuation of that service. My goal is simple: make our county stronger for the future. I am ready to do what's necessary to win. My team is ready, and I am willing to never stop working, knocking on doors, raising money, and attending the events like this in an effort to win. The final piece of the puzzle is you. I need your support, your ideas, and your knowledge. I'm ready to serve to make our county stronger than it has ever been. I humbly ask for your support so I can have that honor. And thank you for tonight, and I look forward to speaking with you later tonight.
Next up, Fred, you have the ball.
Well, good evening. My name is Fred Connor, and I'm running to be one of your 2 Republican county commissioners. I am honored to be up here with my colleagues, and whoever you choose, we will, as far as I'm concerned, we'll run as a team of teams throughout the county. Today, I'm a bit of an amateur historian. Today is the 74th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima. And outside, under that flagpole, the flagpole is dedicated to PFC Robert Miller, who died on that atoll in the South Pacific on the 26th of February, 1945, 74 years ago. If I learned anything in the Marine Corps, or in my life in business, or the last 15 years of community service, it's about teamwork. Politics is about teamwork. Business is about teamwork. It's about a team of teams. That team of 6 Marines that raised the flag 5 days from now, on the 23rd of February, 1945, that was a team. They learned how to work together. That's what we can do. We can take the fight, yes, it is a fight now. We can take the fight to our competitors, to our opponents in every borough, every township, every school district, and up and down the row offices. We are the new Republican Party. We're open for business. We're ready to do business. So let me just get out 4 points, save the suspense, 4 key points. I am a pro-life family man, joined by my 2 sons here tonight. They're hoping for a snow day tomorrow. They'll get home and do their homework. As a Marine infantry officer, I am a former combat firearms instructor. I'm very comfortable with the Second Amendment. I'm very comfortable around weapons, and I'm comfortable with you owning a weapon, if that's what you choose to do. 3rd point, like a majority of Pennsylvanians, I voted for Donald Trump. As a committee person and an area leader, I worked for the president, Senator Toomey, and all of our slate back in 2016, as I have for every team since I became a committee person, Republican committee person, in 2006. And I'll continue to do that no matter what our voters decide on May 21st. And 4th and finally, I said up front, we'll run as a team. We'll run as a team with our row officers and whoever you decide to choose to put to be your candidate for November. Thank you very much.
Next up, we'll hear from Grants, running for commissioner.
I'm going to use that one if that's okay. Pause the clock, right?
You're good.
Good evening, fellow Republicans. My name is Krazalkovich, and the first thing I'd like you to do is to join me in thanking my colleagues up here, Sean, Fred, and Dean, for putting themselves out there and being willing to serve. So thank you, everyone. I want to take a few moments. We'll have plenty of time tonight to talk about what we believe for county government, what we are going to change in county government, but I want to take these first 3 minutes and introduce myself to you. Again, my name is Krazalkovich. I am the proud grandson of a strong Polish woman born in Poland in 1926, and unfortunately in 1942 she was captured and processed through Auschwitz. She was spared her life only because of the color of her eyes and the color of her hair. She looked like the perfect Aryan child. In 1945, along with countless others, she was liberated by American and Allied forces. And just the other week, we celebrated Liberation Day. A few years later, she would meet a young Army Staff Sergeant, get married, have 5 children, the oldest of which was my father. My father would go on to enlist in the United States Air Force right out of high school. Today, he and my grandmother are buried at Barrancas National Cemetery, not too far from one another in Pensacola, Florida. I'm also the proud grandson of a 2-time recipient of the Silver Star and a 2-time recipient of the Bronze Star. My grandfather, Master Sergeant Franz Quinton Cook, was born in December of 1918. His father, at the time of his birth, had been recently deployed to France, so my great-grandmother named her son France to honor where my great-grandfather was at the time of his birth. My mom, the youngest of 4 children, the youngest of 4 daughters, decided to name her firstborn son after her father, and here I am, France. My grandfather, my hero, passed away in December of 2002, and today is buried at Arlington National Cemetery just outside of Washington, D.C. I hope you can understand that it's that legacy of committed service that led me to join the United States Air Force right out of high school. It's that legacy of dedicated service that called me to serve the people of my community in Upper Pottsgrove Township, my neighbors. And it's that legacy, that love of country, that has called me into this race for County Commissioner and to respectfully request your support as I seek the Republican nomination for Montgomery County Commissioner. Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting and talking to each and every one of you.
Next up, Sean Gale.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Gale, and I'm proud to be running for Montgomery County Commissioner with my running mate, Montgomery County Commissioner Joe Gale. And I was going to do the normal prepared speech, but honestly, sitting in this room and driving through Abington, I have to go a little different direction with it. I can't help but think about John Fox and what an important role he played in this community. I can feel him in the room. He was that type of guy. You knew when John was in the room, and I feel like he's in the room with us, so I couldn't say that. And to me, John represents he represents the battle times of Montgomery County politics, when it really counted, when every punch counted. The Democrats were going for it all, and so was John. The Hoffel Fox days that's Allie Frazier of Montgomery County politics. And at that time, the goal was to win. The Democrats were going to start making headway in Montgomery County, and the Republicans were fighting them every step of the way. And somewhere along the line, that started to change. And I think you could see it, and I know John could see it because I've had conversations with him about it in the past, with his last election, when he was running against now Attorney General Josh Shapiro, and that race was for the State House. And it started, not everybody, there was a lot of good Republicans who were in there like John was, ready to go vote for vote, toe-to-toe. And then there were some that were trying to figure out, how can I get ahead by losing? How can I lose well? Was now like the goal. It started to change. That was in the mid-2000s. And around that time is when Joe and I got involved in politics back in 2006. And we were bright-eyed, ready to go. First person you called. Actually, I remember being in this room for Nick Magliacci's special election, going door to door for him. You needed it, you called us, we came from Plymouth meeting, we were here, anywhere in the county. And we did that for years and years and years, and then we saw what John saw in that election. Not everybody was in it to win it anymore. They were in it to lose well. What can we get out of losing? Then that's when we've had enough, and that's when Joe ran in 2015. And when Joe was elected, every time there was an article in the paper, like clockwork, that day, there was a call from John Fox on the phone. And he said, Joe, you are the best county commissioner this county has ever had, and I'm including myself and Russell Parkhouse when I say that, because you're doing it from the minority position. He said, I've watched for years why people rolled over for Josh Shapiro. Years and years and years. You're the first one that's willing to take the fight to him. Who's willing to point out the corruption, the backroom deals, the tax increases that come after every time he's elected. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring back the John Fox part of Montgomery County politics. We're going to fight, we're going to win, and we're going to make Montgomery County red again. So that's what the Gale Brothers ticket has to offer, and we're doing it for all of you and all of you who want to keep winning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. All right, we'll start with a couple of questions now that have been selected, not from the audience. These are selected for each candidate. We'll start with Dean, since you haven't spoken in a while. Dean, what's your plan to win this election and help guide our county team to victory?
I think my plan is first bringing everybody together. As we've seen tonight, when we're functioning as a group, and as we talked about what we want to move forward with, we need to stay together as the Republicans. We need to stick together as a team. We have to look at everything that we have in our arsenal and everything that we have as a team of two moving forward. I feel that we have the opportunity here to take the county back and to move forward with these candidates sitting here. There are two of us that can do that.
Okay, Fred, a little bit more specific maybe, if you would. How specifically, this seems to be the issue, to win the election and guide our county team, you emphasize team in your opening remarks, how do you bring people together into a team here if you think there's some difficulty with it? How do you do it?
Sure. That's a good question. I look back to my race in 2015. Whippin Township, I was the sitting chairman of Whippin Township. I was on the ballot with my 79-year-old running mate, Mr. Tony Greco. We had a great record, hadn't raised taxes in our entire term. And there was a lot of infighting at the county level. There was questions about whether we were going to have vote straight Republican on our ballot. You know, I put together a slate of school board candidates along with myself, and we were running as a team. Got all the resources we needed, and in a very mixed Whitbin Township, my partner and I ran and won decisively. However, in the school district, it was not a good news story, because we were very much underwater in voter registration. But we had a full ticket, and we ran together and and got our message out across the Wissahickon School District and across Whippin Township. That's the same thing we need to do now, and be in every community, every school district, every township, every borough, and run full slates of candidates, be competitive in every one of them, because every vote counts. Every vote counts. And when we think about, one auditor or one school board director who can make a difference on the tax increase, they're all important. So if we're not all working together as that team of teams, all working towards the mission, we're not going to be successful. Because what's going to happen in this county as the Democrats get a bigger majority, their agenda is going to get more radical, right? So the more they can go out, we see this in Whippin Township. There's just not crazies in Washington. There's crazies here, and we got to fight them, and we got to do battle here in November.
Thank you, Fred, very much. France, what's the plan? What's your specific plan to win and help guide the county team, not just you, to victory?
Thank you, Dom. First of all, I need to point out that for the last 6 years, I've been honored to serve as a Republican State Committee person representing my neighbors in the greater Pottstown area, as well as an area leader serving on MCRC's executive committee for the greater Pottstown area. So for the last several years and even before, I've played a big part, and I'm proud of it, in recruiting and helping grow young candidates throughout the greater Pottstown area. Now, Pottstown itself is quite the struggle. It's as Democrat as Cheltenham and Jenkintown and some of these other areas. However, we're fortunate that the three Pottsgroves that I also represent are very much still red. And Area 1, my northern neighbors, and some to the east still remain red. And so what I'm looking forward to doing is bringing that red wave eastward in Montgomery County. And the way to do that is to just get out, meet people, Dom, work with the team, work with Vicki, work with Nancy, Tracy, Anna Marie, everyone, Matt Hovey, our county Common Pleas judge candidate, work with them, arrive at every event with them, have the same message, stay true to our Republican values and principles, and just preach that message and don't move from it, sir.
Thank you, Francis, very much. Sean Gale. Sean, what's your plan?
Well, I'm already running as a team for Montgomery County Commissioner. There's 2 seats, and I'm running with the incumbent Montgomery County Commissioner, Joe Gale. That's what we need to do to win. We need to run as a team that we can trust to run together to win both seats. And that's what our plan is. That's what we've been planning to do. We've been running together now since November. We've been campaigning as a team for over 3 months. There's about 3 months left. So we're about halfway through our campaign in the primary. But we're focusing on the general election in November. Honestly, that's what we're working towards every day right now and what we've been working for the past 4 years. We know exactly how to win. We're in a unique position where we have a Montgomery County minority commissioner who has higher name ID than the 2 majority commissioners combined. I share that name, and we're taking advantage of that. We're taking advantage of we can be 2 places at once. Not many people can do that. Every candidate's been trying to find, where's the secret sauce? We found it, and we're taking advantage of it, and we're doing it every day of the week. Now, you can do events like this. It's great. We're all like-minded conservatives here. We take and we say, okay, we're having an event. Come to us, come to us, come to us. Well, if you have kids and you're working and you have all these things and you're active in your community, you don't have time to come to us. We have to come to you. And that's the Joe Gale method of campaigning. That's the Sean Gale method of campaigning. That's why I was Joe's campaign manager 4 years ago. We know how to win. We know what needs to be done to not only win, but how to govern and make Montgomery County great again. Joe's the first county commissioner in over a decade to vote against a tax increase, Republican or Democrat, in over a decade. That's what people want to see, and they want to hear about it. And we're out there every day, pounding the pavements, knocking on doors, going in people's living rooms with our Cup of Joe technique, and that's how we're going to win as a team in 2019.
Thank you, Sean, very much. Okay, our second question. Let's start with Fred this time to mix it up. Fred, what do you see as the most critical thing you believe needs to be changed about a current county policy or department specifically?
So that is an easy one, Dom. Okay? Motor services. So we talked a little bit about this in our first forum. Friends brought it up as well. We have to restore trust in our voter service. There's nothing more important. Nothing can be a higher priority for us than to make sure that every vote is counted fairly, that the petitions that you're signing tonight are going to be handled professionally, efficiently. They're going to be handed in, and you're going to get credit for that. Your finance reports are going to be put online in a timely manner. Restoring trust in voter services is paramount. Make sure that our absentee ballots get out on time, that they're processed professionally, efficiently, right? Because every vote counts, right? My friend Jim Daly just lost by 2 heartbreaking votes in Springfield. My first minority commissioner on the Whitman Township Board of Supervisors won by 12 votes. Every vote counts. So voter services is the first of many priorities that I will pay particular attention to. Second, we talked about it last time too. Second on that list of priorities is traffic and sprawl. You know, back when I was studying for my master's in regional planning, the left had the term was smart growth. We want smart growth. Well, what happens when they take over in Montgomery County? Smart growth goes out the window, and sprawl just comes right out the schuylkill and is dwarfing us. And we, as Stan said, we can't get our bridges fixed. We can't get our roadways widened. That's another very important thing. Just today, a great study came out today and said Montgomery County and Chester County are dead last of all the counties in Pennsylvania in returning dollars that we send to Harrisburg. We are at the bottom, right tied with Chester County. So we want some of those dollars back. We want to repatriate some of those dollars to fix our bridges, fix our roads, make traffic less onerous.
Dean, what would you say is the number one policy that you try to change?
I think the most important thing to me is the debt service in this county. We have a critical issue with a $420 million 2019 proposed budget. If you look at $17 million of that is debt service and $42 million of unencumbered services amounts that for our pension plans and for the things that this county has spent money for that we didn't have. That's what democratic control does for you. My priority, and since I take that personally from a business perspective, I read balance sheets. My experience in Plymouth Township was to look at when I came in with $3 million in deficit spending, how could we change in 8 years and do it better? We had democratically controlled Plymouth for the first 2 years of my service. I would go into meetings banging my head on the desk on some of the things that were being done. The responsible contractors ordinance, the ordinance that you hear in every school district, in every municipality now that the Democrats are being involved with. We reversed that. We changed it. We moved forward. So my main concern would be on the monetary side to protect you, the taxpayers. That's what I'll be looking for. The first things walking into this budgetary problems that they're having, $17 million. We can do better than that. We can do better than a debt service with a $420 million budget. But don't forget, we need a $450 million expansion on the courthouse. Have you even heard of that? They put it in, they tabled it. It's tabled now. Because it's an election year. Keep your ears open. Understand what's going on. I take a lot of pride in learning the budget and putting myself in the position of you, the taxpayer, because that's what my job would be, serving as your commissioner, whether majority or minority. Thank you.
Sean Gale, same question.
So the question was what we have to change in Montgomery County. That's the Democrat majority. That's what has to change in Montgomery County. These people have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea anything about Montgomery County. They don't, you gave them a map, they wouldn't know where Abington is. They're clueless, okay? You have Val Arkush. She was appointed, why? Because she was a big contributor to the Democrat Party. Leslie Richard goes off to the Department of Transportation. We get an appointee, Val Arkush, to be a bobblehead for Josh Shapiro. Yep. Shortly after, Josh runs. A few weeks later, he decides he's going for Attorney General. And we get another appointee, lobbyist Ken Lawrence. Give me a break. These people have no idea anything about government. They don't know anything about politics. They don't know anything about finance. It's ridiculous. They are absolutely clueless. They are just puppets for the Democrat Party. Now, what I bring to the ticket, one of the reasons Joe asked me to be his running mate, is I have a background in finance and real estate. I went to the Fox Business School and I studied that there. I then went on to law school. I'm a graduate of Villanova Law School, where I studied a lot in real estate and the business side. I now work for a healthcare corporation. I'm the general counsel, the corporate attorney, for a healthcare corporation that focuses on behavioral health. We have 650 employees, revenue of about $35 million a year. I was the interim COO after 9 months on the job. I know how to run things. I know where to find waste. I know where to find efficiencies, and I know how to get it done. That's the kind of government we need. You need to get into the details. You can't just be an appointee to be a bobblehead for Josh Shapiro. And don't kid yourself, folks. He's still controlling the county from up there, okay? Yes. That's what this is all about. How do we get Josh Shapiro to be governor? How do we get that? That's not what this is about. We need a long-term vision. I'm 27, or 28, my birthday was Friday. Joe will be 30. We are invested in this community, and we're invested for the long term. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. France, your question is, what is the most critical thing you believe needs to be changed about the current county policy or department?
Thank you, Dom. So the number one easy answer is one-party rule, right? And we see that manifest itself when the Democrats change every single hired position within the county. And voter services is the biggest example of what happens when that happens. As Fred said, that is the number one priority. Just the other day when I was filling out petition forms, I called voter services. I had a question about the top. and I don't want my petitions to be automatically rejected when I take them in. So I asked, what are you guys looking for under this particular field? Well, we think it's XYZ. And I say, so I should put XYZ? No, that's not what I'm telling you. But I think it's XYZ. And I said, well, when I bring this in, will it be rejected if I put XYZ? I can't tell you that, was the answer. So anyhow, voter services, as Fred said, and I was smiling as he stood up because at the last forum, I got the first shot at that, and I said voter services, so Fred got the next shot this evening. Anyhow, other priorities for me would be Veterans Affairs. I think that we can do a lot more things. As a veteran, I'm very sensitive to that. As a family full of veterans, I'm very sensitive to that. But as a township commissioner in Upper Pottsgrove, my first year, unfortunately, I was the sole no vote, well, fortunately rather, I was the sole no vote for a 14% tax increase. The very next year, I shepherded in and gained unanimous support for repealing the per capita tax in our township. Now, that's a very small amount, $5 to $7 for most folks, but it was a tax cut. The very next year, just 2 years after having a 4-to-1 vote for a tax increase, I bring up and shepherd unanimous support for a 7% tax decrease in Upper Pottsgrove Township. Now, first of all, that means I'm a proven tax cutter, but number two, what it proves is that I can get folks to my side, and that only happens when you agree or disagree, not disagreeably. And I'm looking forward to bringing that to county government, to the Board of Commissioners. I'm not running to be a minority commissioner, but if I am, that's what I hope to bring. Thank you.
Thank you, France, very much. What we're going to do now is see what questions you have. I believe Julie has the box, and I'll be drawing from this. And then the first one, maybe I'll do at random. The others, maybe I'll look through and see something I think is appropriate. Got to say, though, I'm going to report tomorrow. I'm very impressed with tonight's turnout and the 5 people that are running for county commissioner. So, with that being said, let me just push in here and find question 1. And each candidate will be able to answer this. This is a good one. Let's start with Dean. Dean, how will you help other Republicans get elected this year? And how have you helped in the past? And I would ask so we can get in a maximum question, try to be succinct, and I may cut in. Go ahead, Dean.
Okay. In the past, running for office, it was very important, as you know, raising funds. We have the ability to gain funds and to support our local.
So you're saying you would help raise funds for other Republicans?
Absolutely.
In this
Absolutely.
role? Okay.
There are people in this room, whether row office or running for local, that have already reached out and said, I want to help. How can I help you be a better candidate in what you're running for? That's where I would support, as much as I could, helping the funds that I've raised.
Okay, Fred, what do you say to this? How do we help other Republicans across the county?
Well, over the last two months or so, I started this campaign. I've been getting out and sharing my experience with candidates across and recruiting candidates too, which is a very important part of it, because we're not there yet. We're still time to get full slates in every school board, every township, every borough. We can still do that. But to share experiences, what worked for me, to listen to other candidates, what worked around the county, to get together our message so that we're all on one sheet, working together for that one team, and pushing the Republican brand, right? That new Republican Party of Montgomery County. Sharing experiences and working together. Dom.
All right, France?
In the interest of time, Dom, I think I answered that question just a few minutes ago, but
I dig a few times for brevity there, would you, Julie? Come on, hit your thing here. I like a brief hit. Go ahead.
I absolutely am committed, as my history has shown, to work as a team with every single individual on the county slate, but also as a municipal elected official, I understand how difficult it is to raise money, as Fred and Dean said, and I will work with each and every one of the 62 municipalities to make sure that we get Republicans elected.
Sean?
So when the question was asked, I looked around the room and I saw about a dozen people who I helped campaign for in the past. I see D. Adcock in the back with his campaigns for Congress. Very proud to have worked on your campaigns, Steve. I can see that I don't want to go through all of them because I'm going to miss somebody. That was a bad precedent to start, but I gave him a shout out anyway. So I've done it in the past. I know what it takes. You put up the signs, you knock on the doors, you meet the people, you make the calls, you get the signatures, or we're in petitioning now. I've done it for years. I've been a committee, before I was able to vote, I've been out involved. I've been a young Republican active in the organization since I was 16 years old. So I know what it takes to help other Republicans win. But the number one thing we can do is what Joe Gale's been doing for the past 4 years. Be a consistent voice for conservatism. That's what's going to help us. Don't be one of the rhinos that votes for the gas tax and give us the highest gas tax in the nation, 58 cents a gallon. That's not helping us win elections. That's not helping Republicans win. Joe Gale opposing the $5 fee on your vehicle registration fee, that helps us. Exposing the backroom deals that the Democrats, you look at their finance reports and the county agenda, identical names. Exposing that helps Republicans win. Opposing the tax increases, 22% in 2 years. That's what helps Republicans win. Going on Dom Giordano and talking about conservative values fearlessly, socially, and fiscally, saying, I am pro-life, I'm not ashamed to be that. That is how Republicans win. And that's what we've been doing every single day for 4 years to help Republicans win. And we're at the top of the ticket. I was Joe's campaign manager. We have a plan to win. And if we can win at the top of the ticket, that's going to help the row offices, and that's going to help the local races in the municipal level and everything in between, school boards, etc. So thank you for the question, and thank you for the debate.
All right, I have a question that seems to be a theme as kind of an outsider here, even though I talked to a lot of the people involved at this over the years and have friends and admire them greatly. Let's start with France. France, if you don't win in the primary, do you pledge tonight to actively work to help elect the winners, your colleagues up here?
Yes.
Sean, if you don't win in the primary, will you actively work to help elect the winners, your colleagues up here?
If I don't win in the primary, well, I plan on winning. I'm sure as hell plan on winning. I'll tell you that right away. Let me tell you something. There's two agendas out there right now. There's the Gale brothers' agenda to win back Montgomery County, and then there's a secondary agenda. I know it's been on the plans for 4 years now, ever since Joe was elected. It's run a Republican other than Joe Gale and Sean Gale. Get them elected in the primary, cut a deal with the Democrats, and cut Joe Gale and get them off the board.
Who do you say is doing this?
Hell of a lot of people in this room. That's who's doing it. Okay, and don't kid me. Okay. Let me say something. That's exactly what the plan is. You had Jeff Bartos get up here. Give me a break. You talk about the green ballot. The original green ballot that cut names was Jeff Bartos, paid for by Jeff Bartos. It cut Joe Gale.
Excuse me, Sean, just want
Cody.
to tell the audience, I'll let you continue. We have a rebuttal here in a moment. Go ahead, continue. Just wanted folks to know that. No need to call out.
You asked, you wanted a name, I gave you one. I can name a few others.
Dom,
Excuse me, I'll handle this. Okay, Sean, I'd like to come back and restate the question. Then Dean, you're up for a rebuttal. The question is, if you don't win in the primary, will you actively work to help elect the winners?
Yes.
Okay. Dean, you have rebuttal.
rebuttal. Yes, I will actively work if I do not win in the primary. But the point being is, there is nobody in the Republican committee that came to me and said, we want you to run for a specific reason. I ran because my neighbors asked, and specific people, my friends asked me because of the job I did in Plymouth Township, and I want to take it to the county. I have no agenda. I have nothing hidden. Look into my, when you make an insinuation that somebody has put me up to sitting in front of here, I don't need this job. I want this job.
All right, Greg, I will take the question. Greg, will you pledge, first of all, for anything else you say, if you're not the winner, will you support the winners, the team, to go forward in this after the primary?
Yes, no question. You know, one of the speakers here invoked John Fox's name. John was a friend of mine. John was a friend of many of us in here. John was a consummate political professional and gentleman. And to say that the room is filled with John, this room is filled with John Fox friends and admirers. And people that got to know John so well over so many years. I'm a friend of John Fox. I learned how to be an area leader from John Fox. And of course, this room is not filled with people out to get a Republican. That just doesn't happen. And it will not happen in Montgomery County.
Okay. move on, Prince. Your turn on this, and I'd like to try to be specific. I know it's difficult at times with these questions, but why do you believe Republicans are losing the county to Democrats? And I have my theories, but you guys are actually putting your name on the ballot. So you tell me, why is that happening right now? Because then that gets to what we have to do to halt this. France?
Wow. So I think it's a sort of a complicated answer, but I'll start with the simplest, which is just demographics. As you mentioned in your opening comments, folks coming from Philadelphia and bringing Philadelphia values into Montgomery County. Secondly, pure energy. The Democrats for the last couple of years have just been overly energized. In my township, which is Republican through and through, only Republican caucus chair Marcy Topol won as a Republican in my township, even though Republicans outturned Democrats in my township. So I think it's demographics, I think it's energy, and frankly, I think that we need to just get out talking to folks and let them know why we're Republicans.
Let me ask you a question, though, not just putting you on the spot
That's
here,
okay.
to put a finer point on it. Those
Yep.
things we all agree with. I think
Yep.
everyone in the room agrees with that. Is there a specific issue right now where you see vulnerability to be exploited with energy and the things we're talking about? Is there a specific area? We've heard a lot of great things that are up here, but is there a specific area of appeal that you would zone in on with that energy?
Two things. And I think the Democrats have handed it to us, right? So in New York and Virginia, they're talking about infanticide. Let's make no mistake about it. It is infanticide. I am strong pro-life from conception to natural death. But in New York and Virginia, they are literally talking about post-birth abortion, and that is disgusting and aberrant. And I think that that would be number one. Number two, if I may, is the Green New Deal. Are we seriously talking about a government plan to stop pigs from flatulating? Are we serious?
Well, if you can say farting here tonight, AOC would
Cows.
approve.
Yeah.
All right, Sean Gale, do you agree with any of that? Sean, I think what France said here, and guys, if you could stand up, the people in the back can't see. Thank you, Sean. Is the pro-life issue, particularly with Valerie Arcouche, I don't know the other guy as well as some in the room, but I know her background and I know the type of stuff she's run on. Does that really play, I'm pro-life, you're pro-life, I know the Gale brothers are, in Montgomery County, or is that something Republicans should keep out of the county commissioner race?
Well, I don't base my values on what gets elected.
Okay.
So I'm pro-life, and that's what I'm going to run as. And Joe Gale's pro-life, and that's what he ran as. Well, we've tried that. You ask why Democrats win in the Montgomery County. It's because we run rhinos. That's why they win. You keep running these people. We send them in. We vote for them because they say they're going to do all these conservative Republican things. Then they get in office and they vote like a Democrat. And their whole pitch is, you can vote for me, Democrats moving in from Philadelphia, because I'm like a Democrat. If somebody wants somebody like a Democrat, they'll vote Democrat. I want somebody who's like a Republican. I want a conservative. That's how you win here, and that's socially and fiscally. You don't say, oh, I'm going to try to walk the tightrope. I'm going to walk the fence. I'm going to play to the left on this side and play to the right on this side. You're going to lose. That's what's going to happen if you do that. So if you want to know how you win Montgomery County back, you run as a conservative, because conservatism works. I believe it through and through. That works. And I'm going to convince people of it because I believe it. And I'm going to talk about it as emphatically as I can. Where somebody who's playing the wishy-washy, they can't talk about conservatism because it's not in here. It's in here for me. So that's how you win in Montgomery County.
Thank you. Dean, your question, you stand for. So Dean, the question again, why do you believe Republicans are losing the county? We've heard demographics, we've heard a couple of issues, which is good. What do you say?
I think when you look at it, we called it in our area, since we were a border township to Philadelphia, was the creep or the sprawl out of the city.
Right.
As it continues to creep and sprawl, if it was so good in the city, why didn't you stay there? I don't
So
understand.
you're suggesting a border barrier, not a wall. Don't call a wall, Yes.
You want a wall, you want to get a wall. But I think we need to stop the name calling, the finger pointing, the rhinos, this, that, and the other thing. It does nothing but separate us. We need to stick together. If we want to stand around in a circle and shoot each other, we've already proven it doesn't work. Let's move forward. Let's be who we are. We're Republicans. Let's be proud of it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, Fred. Yes, excuse me, Fred, 1 second. Sean Gale, rebuttal.
So yeah, I'm going to say rhinos, and I'm going to point to one right there. Dean Eisenberger, complete rhino. Give me a break. He ran as a Democrat. He ran as a Democrat. He doesn't tell you that in his resume. He ran against our incumbent district justice in Plymouth Township. So he doesn't tell you that. Because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't get the applause. I'm not going to tell you, just like I'm not going to run and say I'm pro-choice to get votes. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to go here and tell you lies for cheap applause. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Can I rebut?
Yep, we have a rebuttal. Go right ahead, Dean.
You know, I changed for one reason,
Dean,
Sean.
stand up, please, people.
I changed for one reason, because a GOP candidate who was under indictment and convicted in Plymouth Township was saying that he was going to be running for district justice. I wasn't going to let him get in without having to fight for it. So I laid down the law with him, and he didn't run. So learn the facts.
Okay, we're up to Fred. Fred, can you stand up, please? Fred, here's your question, Fred. Why do you believe Republicans are losing the county to Democrats specifically?
Well, let me just tell you, I'm going to leave in a few minutes to go back to Bluebell and be chairman of the Whitman Township Board of Supervisors. We have been losing demographically in Whitman Township for the past 20 years. Our older Republicans are getting older and moving away, and their homes are being filled by younger, often the children of returning Republicans who have been changed when they went off to college. Okay, we've held the line on development and tried to make sure that we've kept Whitman Township a nice community, but demographics is beating us. And it's beating us in Montgomery County. So what we have to do, how do we win Democratic votes? Well, we do what we do in Whitman Township and what we can do across the county, right? We propose smart solutions to the problems of the day. All right, we don't raise taxes. Okay, we build parks where taxpayers don't have to pay for them because we partner with companies and we partner with our rec associations. Okay, we build new firehouses to support our firefighters with very little money that the taxpayers have to put in. We come up with good ideas and solutions. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Good ideas are going to carry the day, and that the proof is in the pudding in my town, in Whitman Township.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you very much. Okay, let's start with France. France, what historical Republican figure would you most like to emulate? I'll take a little liberty here. Take any Republican figure. We don't have to go back to the Whig Party. You can start right now.
Ronald Wilson Reagan. It's an easy.
Well, you were lucky to get the first one here. Why Reagan?
Well, my first entry into politics, my grandfather and my mother were committee people in the city of Philadelphia. And as difficult as that is, in Northeast Philadelphia. And I can recall walking with my mom, getting Democrats to change to Republican to be able to vote for her and my grandfather for committee person, but also that same year, working very hard to get Ronald Reagan elected. And I think that Ronald Reagan was the greatest, in my mind, the greatest conservative Republican president of all time. If you go back and look at his speeches on Social Security, all of that stuff applies today. And we need to get back to that style of Republican, and that style of Republican that still understood how to work with a full Democratic majority Congress and still get conservative stuff done for each and every one of us. Ronald Wilson Reagan, hands down.
I'll take that as martinis after work with Valerie Arcouche, Al Tip O'Neill. Sean?
I don't like martinis.
Okay. Sean?
So, historical, then I'm going to have to say Ronald Reagan. I have to agree. I mean, that's the reason I got involved. And Rush Limbaugh, to be quite honest with you. I've been listening to this guy since I was a little kid because I listened to Rush since I was a little kid. That's what I grew up on. You want to know why we got involved in politics? We were Rush babies. So, yeah, elected officials, I'm going to say Ronald Reagan. Yes, historically, I actually think Trump is the greatest president of all time, but the question was historical. I really do. I think what he's been done in this short amount of time is unbelievable. So I actually think he takes the top position now. But I'm going to give it to Reagan in the form of the question, but really Rush Limbaugh, to answer your question. Rush could articulate conservatism more than anybody could. Even more, Ronald could talk, Mr. President Reagan could talk about the city high on the hill, and he could talk about it, and he could speak it well. He could draw that picture. But Rush could talk conservatism. And that got in me. I felt the bug when I turn him on now, I still get goosebumps when the music starts playing. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Tomorrow, just make sure you listen 15 minutes earlier. I'll be on. Thank you. Dean, who's had a historic figure? So we have Trump, Rush Limbaugh, and Reagan. I'm sorry we came to you third here. Fred is in the cleanup spot. It's going to be hard.
Fred, I'll make it easy. I'm going to just say Ronald Reagan.
Fred, you got to think. Some guy called me the other day and thinks that James Polk should be a more highly rated president. Fred, would you like to take that one?
They're all good. Every Republican president, every Republican leader who stood out there and put themselves in the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt said. But from Lincoln to Coolidge to Roosevelt, Teddy, to our Tory leader, Winston Churchill, a good conservative, certainly a great leader. But I'm going to end it, and I'm going to walk out, drop the mic with Ronald Reagan, right? Because we celebrated President's Day, Washington's birthday, become President's Day, but right up there with Lincoln and Washington is Ronald Reagan. And as I look at my two sons here as we get ready to go, and they pray for a snow day tomorrow, I remember what Reagan said: freedom is never more than one generation away. We don't pass it, my wife and I didn't pass it on to them in the bloodstream. Okay? Must be fought for, must be preserved, must be protected. That's what we are here to do, to preserve that freedom. Free markets, free speech, Second Amendment, all those things. We're united. We're united in that kind of mission. Together, we can do it. We can take back the courthouse, and we can win in every borough, every school district, every township, every row office. We'll be competitive, and we can win. With that, good night, thank you, and goodbye. Let's have all the candidates sitting up with you today. Dean, Fred, Sean, and Grant. The candidates will be standing by. I'll be at the bar sipping some wine if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone. Thanks very much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, just give me 2 seconds here. Hey, everybody, just 2 seconds. I'm the host. I'm allowed to say that. There's a couple of things real quickly. First off, I want to thank all the candidates for coming out here. And second, I appreciate everybody that took time out of their night to come out here. I have a couple of things for Dom G, just to say thank you for being here. But I'd like to ask first, how many people listen to Dom on the radio?
Sergeant of Arms and a former military guy, bring them over here right now. That they know.
So, we all feel like we know him and his wife and his kid, and he's never met any of us, okay? So just a second. I got a wife and 5 kids, so you tend to buy presents for yourself, okay? But I don't know if he likes it or not, but this is a puzzle, White Mountain Puzzles. We like doing puzzles, so if you and your wife and your kid on a cruise want to do a puzzle, you can try that out. And here is, I'm a Buy America guy, but this is Pennsylvania wine. So for Dom, if you enjoy it, here's some Pennsylvania wine. We thank him for coming out.